All right, we got some nut-grabbing stats for you guys.
Nut-grabbing stats.
Okay, so here are the nut-grabbing stats. 60% of people with mental illness do not seek treatment. In low and middle income communities, the rate is 75%. Suicide is the second leading cause of death amongst teenagers for people between the age of 15 to 29. It is the fourth leading cause of death. Most countries distribute less than 2% of their total health expenditure to mental health. In America, there's a suicide every 11 minutes, and globally, there's one every 40 seconds.
In America, there's a suicide every 11 minutes. Perspective, right?
50% of the primary care physicians felt that had an inadequate training to diagnose and treat mental health conditions. The rate of adults who reported anxiety and depressive disorders during the quarantine rose from 19% to 41%. So quarantine had a big impact on us. My question to you guys, why has therapy been overlooked by previous generations?
Oh, we got some hands raised. Okay.
I'm going to go with the lady first in the back. Tell us your name.
My name is Ashley. I go by Alicea, which is my last name because everybody knows a million Ashleys. So I've had my children in therapy since they were very young. I am a victim of domestic violence, so I put my children in therapy because of that, and for myself as well. And the older generations in my family were like, oh, that doesn't work. That's nonsense. Look, it doesn't even work, when they would like lash out or they would have a temper tantrum. I come from a very older generation. My parents were very old when they had me. My father was in his 40s. He was 43. My mother was in her late 30s. My grandparents are in their 90s. And so for them, that's not something that they had. They didn't have access to, therapists. They weren't going to therapy. They were like, that's changueria, Puerto Rican. So they're like, that's nonsense. Like, that's just them having a temper tantrum. They just chalked it up to, that's just them having a bad, temper. And they'll get over it. Or they need to be in timeout. But for me, knowing that I went into a relationship trying to fix somebody, and I chose a profession trying to fix somebody, and then I see it in my children, it was very eye-opening for me. And I wanted to make sure that they didn't grow up the way that we grew up. I didn't want them to grow up like my parents. I didn't want them to grow up like I did, where we just brushed everything under the rug and we woke up the next day and nothing happened. It was like, it's a new day.
Right.
Whatever happened, it's over.
Why do you think they brushed everything under the rug?
It was easier.
For sure.
It was easier to not have those conversations. Those are very hard conversations. People don't know how to regulate their emotions. People don't know how to speak on their emotions.
And acknowledge them too.
Or acknowledge their emotions, and they bury stuff deep down within, and then you don't realize that it starts coming into your physical body, and then you start getting sick in other areas, and you're like, oh, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling like that? And it's because you're pushing those emotions deep down into parts of your body that they're being stored and held, which is why we do the different modalities that we have, why our generation is more conscious of healing and being vocal about things, because we grew up in a society where we weren't allowed to speak about things. Like, oh no, you can't talk about that. If you were having a problem at home, like, it stays in the house, you talk about it in the house, only with the house, but the house didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. And then you were even reprimanded, don't tell anybody what's going on in the household, that's not nobody's business.
And then if you did tell somebody, you came home and you got in trouble. So then we have people who were so scared that they did kill themselves or they did hurt themselves. We grew up in a generation where a lot of people were cutters. And you see the kids who have all the scars all over them, and now they're tattooing their scars over them, but their parents didn't do nothing about it. They just, were like, oh, my kid is crazy. They just chalked it up to being crazy. Everybody's crazy, and it's not. We're just passionate and we're emotional, and we didn't know how to regulate our emotions or speak on our emotions because we weren't allowed to. So I think that it's very important as a parent to be able to speak to my children and understand their emotions and validate them, whether I agree with them or not. Their feelings, and they're entitled to them, and they're entitled to emotions. And as children and adults, the older generations were like, I'm an adult, I'm right, you're wrong, that's it. I don't want to be that parent. I don't want to be like, no, I said so, even though I do say I said so very often. You know, it's you have to unparent yourself and be conscious of like what you're doing so that they can grow up in a world where they want to be and not want to take themselves out of it.
Right. Thank you.
I like what you said, on parent yourself. That was good. That was good. I had another one. Good. All right. You sure?
I know a couple
Any
black people.
follow-ups?
Now, y'all know in the black community, they're like, wait, hell no, we ain't do no therapy. What y'all think this is?
I got another one over here. State your name.
Malcolm. So in my community, the biggest thing that we dealt with was men are not supposed to show their emotions. So when a little boy will fall and hit the ground, don't cry, or someone takes his toy, don't cry. So therapy wasn't ideal for us. It was just get up, deal with it, and wipe your tears and do what you need to do and be a man.
Right.
At the age of 3.
Damn.
So-
And that's like normal for a 3-year-old to, yeah. Anybody else?
We will go with the doctor.
Sophia, I think the main reason why is shame and stigma. Also cost. People tend to think that it costs too much, but again, what do you pay for every day? How much is a tank of gas? How much are the drinks you're paying for tonight? You could pay for a session of therapy and save you a lot of time.
Hey, to expand on that, G, so I like G, and I'm so happy he's our therapist because G hangs out, you know, and he understands the balance, but
you know.
But him being a therapist, he understands the cost of therapy, and he's constantly going out, and he sees all the people popping bottles, you know what I'm saying, and obviously a lot of people do that to, you know, run away from their problem. They want to get lit, you know, and they have $250 in their budget to get a section, but they don't have $100 to get a therapy session. And one of the things with this event, we want to kind of open the door for people to get therapy at a reasonable rate, as well as we want to just make it be known that therapy is not something that you do because you feel like your mind is out of whack or your life is over or something like that. Therapy is something just because you feel out of whack a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You need to get back grounded. You know what I'm saying? And what's big is doing preventative maintenance. Just if you feel your mind getting off track a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It's worth just to check in because there could be a ripple effect that's spiraling out of control. And if you're not being aware of what's going on, you can spiral with it.
FYI, I'm very wholesome. Just FYI.
No, you be turning up. Don't we?
No, very
Y'all
wholesome.
be seeing him in the street.
Very wholesome.
He be lit.
Very.
My name is Jesse. I'm gonna keep this real short. I feel like a lot of people answers, but I think there's two main reasons. Our older generations have overlooked it. I think one, that I like to give them a little grace because they did what they thought was right, or as much as they knew. No one taught them that it's okay to go to a therapist or talk about your problems and things like that. So unfortunately, it got passed down that way. So that's how they raised us. There's certain, I don't know if everybody's been through it, but that's how they raised a lot of us to do. And then also there's a strong, unfortunately, distrust between black and brown communities with clinicians and medical professionals.
For sure.
And that also gets passed down with generations.
Yeah.
So it's almost as a, you know, they say, why are you going to go talk to a stranger that doesn't know anything about our family dynamics, or somebody that's outside of our ethnic background or our race and things like that? They don't know what we go through. They can't relate. So unfortunately, I mean, I think there's those factors that's involved with it. And like I said, I've come to a realization, especially with the older folks, it's only but so much I can hold against them. And at some point, we get to a certain age, we got to hold ourselves accountable and know where they didn't, you know, measure up. That's where we need to come in and do that work ourselves for our, you know, future generations. So
break that ancestral generational curses.
So
For sure. Yeah.
We got one more, if that's okay. If we,
No, please.
anyone else? Anyone else? We got one more. Yeah, state your name, sir.
How y'all doing? I'm Zay, if y'all know me already. I would like to give this on. I didn't deal with having to go to therapy because I dealt with the black community or being the man and being strong. Like you said, it's the truth. It comes like that. But you don't realize until you go through something that you can't get past. So I had to deal with like my mother passing from cancer. And it put me in a space where it was like nobody else done been through that. So you asking questions to everybody, you gonna look past it. So not even a therapist gonna know that too sometimes.
Yeah.
She's just gonna know about you. So as a man, you got to figure out, and it's with therapy, it comes with trusting the person. So you can try with people. Some people, like you dating with people every day. You know, some people just go on dates or meet people. It's the same way with therapy.
It is.
It's, you know quickly if the person is right for you as a therapist. You can feel it. It's a feeling that you get every day. So I tell you, like now we shouldn't stray from the therapy part. You shouldn't stray from the price part because it changes too. Some therapists gonna say, you know what, I don't need you to give me nothing for this 3 weeks, and that may be all you need. You know what I mean? So I put that on a lot of people as men too, specifically you guys. I care a lot about you guys. Take initiative to go, not just when it's a big problem. It could be the smallest problem, but you just go in there because that little small problem creates more. We know that.
For sure.
So appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Zay. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. What do you guys think is prevalent among men or women? Suicide. Who do you guys think is more prevalent among suicide, men or women?
Damn.
Okay.
All right, women. All right. For men?
Yeah.
Why do you guys think so?
I know personally.
All right.
Should we raise hands? And you wanna?
I wanted to give my
Yeah, go
personal
ahead.
experience. I'm labeled as like highly aggressive, and I'm really a passionate individual, but I never really was taught how to gauge my emotions, you know, and I feel like that's part of the reason why men are more engaged to commit suicide. Me personally, I had a rough patch this year. I walked away from the nightlife just because it wasn't so fulfilling for me no more. I wanted to make a bigger purpose and a bigger impact. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I got a good job. I'm about to work to get a promotion. As soon as I got the promotion, I walked away from the nightlife. Then about 6-7 months after that, the company I was working for shut down. So in my mind, to where I'm thinking I'm in tune with God, I'm doing the right thing for me and my spirit, and then now my finances are put on a hold. I remember a day, and I had a chick with me, and I was just processing everything. And mind you, I'm not built to like be vulnerable, so I'm not expressing to her what's going on. But in my heart and in my mind, I'm like, man, bro, I got big bills. You know what I'm saying? I got big bills, and I walked away with the surety. I mean, I got a plan. I'm executing. God got me, and then He put me in the mix to where I was left with confusion, and I was stuck. Didn't know how I was gonna provide, how I was gonna make a way, and it was so funny because I'm processing these emotions, but I'm built not to cry. But I start crying off one side of my face. You know what I'm saying? One side, and she was like, "Are you crying?" And I literally told her, "I don't know." You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't really crying. It was like I'm processing things, and a tear's coming down one side of my face, and it was a real humbling situation for me because she was right there and seeing it. I couldn't process what I was going through, and then that morning I just woke up and just broke down and told her like everything that I was feeling. And it was a level of relief that I felt just to know that she was there. You know what I'm saying? She understood. And it opened the door in my mind like, wow, why was I so distraught about having this conversation and saying what I feel? And I felt so empowered after I told her, you know, and I think that goes with us as men. We have to understand the nourishment that we receive from our counterpartners. You know, and we're built not to show vulnerability, but they're built to nourish us. So we have to take a conscious decision to know that communication is key for growth. You know what I'm saying? We're not taught to express ourselves and what we feeling, but at the end of the day, community and communication is key for growth. So I think we need to kind of put some P on communicating.
Did you guys have any other input as to why men are more suicidal than women?
Well, I can give you this. 2024, all of us are more prone to drugs, but 2024 is a lot more. And men are a lot more around it as well, and a lot more accessible to it. I lost one of my best friends last year, January. He killed himself and did music, amazing guy. But I can give you this, just now we're more, it's not just you having that thought and you're feeling, but you going through that stuff under the influence is a little bit worse. So usually you'll see a lot of people are not just doing it, they're taking something before they do it. So necessarily it's not them in the most conscious mind,
Right.
It's them in the mind at itself. So that's the reason I'm giving you. So if you look more to it, that's the biggest reason that it's so easy for people men specifically, to go through that. When females are doing things, they're usually doing it with their friends. They're with somebody. Men, we really don't like being soft in front of brothers. We should call them brothers, but they're not really your brothers if you can't give them the truth. Feel me? So focus on having the right people around you as men. Again, men, focus on having the right people around you, as well as ladies, because y'all got each other for real. But men, for real, like, find the right guys around you that's going to give you the truth and not just give you some fake, I want to be around you stuff.
Oh, for sure. Community.
Thank you, Zay.
And women are more prone to build these communities with one another, which is why they have the ability to not take on problems on their own. So the weight is a lot less heavy when you feel like you have the support, and in comparison to men who think they need to chalk it up and like eat that, and then it ends up, building up over time. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, like, they isolate themselves, and it really does more damage, really.
So Rico brought up a good question.
Yeah, so like what you said, Zay, females, they got each other. Why do you think that us as men, and I want men to chime in on this, why do you think that we don't fellowship and come together like women do? Where is that ego complex detrimenting us?
Tay, for those that didn't hear already. So from my personal perspective and just some of the things that I've been reviewing, reading, things of that nature, a lot of it I think has to do with just the primal nature of a man in general. If you go back to like the earliest of days, men have always had to be competitive. They've always had to compete with one another, or just compete with society, compete with nature, whatever the case might be. So, it's hard to determine if what you're seeing across from you is friend or foe. It's down to a hormonal aspect. There's the pheromones that come off. Down to a chemistry. There's a lot of different things in the mix. But when you're trying to figure out if that person is a friend or a foe, it's a lot harder to build a relationship, because you're still trying to figure out. You're trying to judge that book by a cover and figure out, can I bring this one in, or is this one going to take away food from what I have to provide for? Again, men are supposed to be providers, so you may have a family, you may have whatever your community that you've already established that you have to provide for, but then you're not sure if what it is that you see is going to help you gather more or take away from you. So it's a lot safer, it's a lot easier to keep things at arm's length or keep things at a distance and not trust and just take things on, because you're like, all right, well, what we got so far, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's already working as far as based on what you're classifying it by. But, maybe you can actually grow further. You can actually go further if you're growing together and you're moving together at the same pace. Again, it's more of a primal thing, I think, than anything. We're starting to break down a lot more of those barriers in this day and age, but a lot of times it takes something that's already pre-established in order to allow men to come together as a community. A lot of men have a better bond because of maybe a fraternity or maybe a team sport or something else that's already in place, where they just happen to see that, okay, we have a common interest. But if you take that out the mix, it's hard for them to find that common interest on their own.
That makes sense. Like,
So-
it's not natural.
Yeah, it's not natural. So there has to be things put in place to make it natural, i.e., sports, social things, whatever the case might be.
Clubs,
drinking,
motorcycle
clubs, etc. So when they find, oh, hey, we like the same things. All right, I can let my guard down and see what else we might like that's the same, or where else we might come together. Oh, we're both trying to. Main reason why a lot of guys start becoming friends. Oh, we're both trying to get these women together. So that's a common interest right there. But the moment that they start wanting the same one, it starts breaking the barriers again, because it's back to that primal thing as well too. Sports, we like
y'all
the same
still
team.
have a bro code though.
And there still is a bro code. There's a code in nature as well too. There's a code in everything. So it kind of just depends. But a lot of it is not even. It's subconscious. It's not even something that they think about right off the rip. It's something that just naturally, like, just within their, they might not like a dude and don't even know why. It's just primal. They feel challenged. They feel like, hey, they're going to take away from me, whatever it might be, whether it's money, women, food, whatever the case might be.
Yeah, I heard one of my homeboys say on Instagram, like, the moment he sees a man, he like sizes him up and he's like, yeah, I could take him. I'm like, damn, you ain't even saying his shoes look nice. Like, you like.
So just to add to that, like what he was saying, one of the things that I did with my group, because I feel like I created my family, right? My family is my family, but sometimes we have family that we got to be like, all right, I really can't deal with you. So I created my family, and I got a brotherhood. We hooped together, went to the clubs. One of the things I learned from a mentor, is I started reaching out to them every single month, and I would text on a 1 to 10, where's your mental health? Where's your mental health? Oh, you're 8? All right, talk to me. How can we get you to a 10? And when I started doing that, you started seeing the competitive nature go down. I'm not here to battle you. Let's grow together. If we're going to be millionaires, let's be millionaires together. If I get there first, okay, great. But let me go ahead and pull you up.
That's
so the
important.
Conversation is different when you start moving differently.
Especially with vulnerability, right?
Absolutely.
Like, because then you guys see you're on an even playing field. There is no ego when you guys are both vulnerable. There's only growth in that.
My name is Trey. I think both of them kind of hit it on the head, and just to kind of continue to add to it is, I think that it comes from a place of not really knowing how to. Like how we talked about how it's unnatural. Like you kind of have to create almost finesse ways of creating friendships. You know what I mean? Like I'm even sitting next to Tony. I've known Tony since 2nd grade, but we know each other because we play football together. You get what I'm saying? So it's always going to be some sort of connection around something else. And when you become an adult, like you don't have childish activities to connect with people with. So, so if your childhood friends moved, or if you moved, or if some sort of disconnect happens, it's very difficult to build that up with adults and with people who have lives, who have a family, who got to go pick up their kid, who got to go drop their kid off. Like sometimes with men, and a lot of times even with people who own businesses, they get very much business minded in the sense of like, is this conversation helping me make money? Whereas I think females do a great job at just calling each other. Just like, hey, like I'm on the road, I got a 15-minute ride. I don't want nothing. Well, how was your day going? You know what I mean? I like he mentioned, I started doing that with some of my friends, and like the connections that I have with them is completely different. Because when I see their name pop up on my phone, I'm like, damn. I'm not like, oh, what does this nigga want? I'm just like, oh, all right, like my boy calling me, like I want to talk to him. Or like sometimes it's like at the perfect time, like you just got off a stressful phone call, and then they call and you're like, you know what, like I do need to vent. And like they'll just be like, yo, like I don't even have nothing to talk about, so you could just go. And then you just ramble for like 10-15 minutes, and you realize that, oh, I'm fine. I was angry, but I'm actually straight. I just needed to talk. So I think it kind of boils down to not having the experience of people doing it when we were younger, not knowing how to do it, not knowing the proper way to do it, not knowing how to execute it. Like it's just, there was no like playbook that was given to you of like, hey, here's how you be a good male friend. Like, it was more so like, hey, here's how you be a tough man and don't let nobody see you as a punk and see you as soft or see you as anything like that. So we all got that side of it down, but we don't got the feminine side. And I think women, y'all kind of had that at a younger age for sure.
And I want to give another example, because I just want to use my situations to create the vulnerability. Now I got Tony, my little brother, who's right next to Trey. He understands this experience. And I just want to say, I think it's things like this that make the suicide rate be what it be. And I remember as an innocent young boy, I'm about 14, 15, and I went through my first breakup. You know what I'm saying? In high school, I couldn't eat for a week. I was devastated, and the whole time I'm on the phone with my girlfriend. So my little brother, he's mad I'm not playing the video game with him. You know what I'm saying? So as soon as we go to the dinner table, I get my dad, he's always working. He's, you know what I'm saying, he's working at football practice. He comes home, he spend a little time with us, then we go to sleep. But it was one night, he looked at me and was like, damn, what's wrong with you? You done lost 10 pounds. My little brother squirts out. He's mad, he's upset because him and his girl, I don't want to say her name, but him and his girl, they've been going at it, and they've been talking all night. And they've been talking all day. He doesn't want to play the game, da-da-da. And my pop hit me in the chest. You know what I'm saying? Just like, man, what, you got a girl around here making you feel like this? You know what I'm saying? So at 15 years old, I was taught and not to, you know what I'm saying, really listen to my emotions, put that beside me. You know what I'm saying? You still got to carry on. You know, so when the next heartbreak or the next pain comes through, in my mind, I just got to ignore it and keep pushing. And I think those pain, those feelings of betrayal that, you know, be in the back of our mind that we don't entertain, we don't get that confirmation, that closure for, it leads to, you know, our mind being distorted. You know, so I think that's just another example of we're not taught, and our fathers, the men before us, don't make it acceptable for us to be vulnerable.
We have input from the lovely lady who would like to add.
I'm Aries. I think that it's super cool that we're having this really important conversation, and also as we're in this space, I think it's also important to garnish a level of respect, foster a level of respect when it comes to language specifically. And I think that the term females has been used a lot today, and it's an adjective, but can't be used to describe a woman. And so I just would love to see us switch that language up. That's all.
Sis.
So I don't think men, like, we understand things like that. Like we never really understood that part because we thought we were just talking.
T. Yes, sis.
Hi. So I'm Leslie. Yeah, I'm Leslie. I'm also a clinical mental health counselor here in Tampa. I think what Aries was alluding to was that, and I love this topic of conversation. I give it to all my male clients. When you say a female can be literally anything. A female dog, a female bird, a female worm. What we're talking about, women, you know, so like people. So just like you say men, so we say women. And I think that's like a good like visual. I think that's really helpful for a lot of people.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just makes it more personal. Like female is just very like dehumanizing at times. So.
All right. So also, I do think that grab the mic, friend. I do think that women also underestimate how emotional men are in general.
Oh, for sure.
Like when we're in relationships and like you say certain things and you think, oh, he's a man, like he doesn't really care. He acts like he doesn't care because of how he treats me or whatever. Like you push a man too far, woo. I can understand like why they're more prone to suicide. So I think that, long story short, women do underestimate how emotional men are, and I think men underestimate how emotional men are because y'all emotional as hell.
And I think women are very in tune with their emotions, which is something we can learn from, right? Like just not burying them, not suppressing them, not trying to ignore them. It's just like what we said before, like the acknowledgement of the wound will help heal.
Yeah, and also like women, we have periods and we have to on a monthly basis deal with like the ovulation period where emotions are on 10, and then so we have to regulate our emotions on a regular basis. So I think that's why we're more equipped.
We're not new to this, we're true to this.
Yeah, I think that's why we're more equipped to dealing with the highs and the lows of what comes with being a human being, because we deal with the full spectrum of it. So
alrighty, we wanted to go back to COVID stat from before.
So Rico touched on this a little bit lightly, but there was a recent study that stated that anxiety and depression increased from 19 to 41% in COVID. Just as a general question to start off the conversation, why do you think that happened? Why do you think that is during COVID?
I'm Holly. I'm a therapist here in Tampa also. This lovely lady to my right works with me. So this is what we have cards that we didn't give out yet. We will. We have them. So my answer to this, honestly, is not that it increased. I think that self-honesty was much higher. You can't hide from it. You can't distract from it. You can't go out and pop bottles. You can't do the things that you might otherwise do to mask your anxiety and depression. So I think that when people were stuck in the house with the people that you love, you couldn't run away from some of the things that they don't always get to see. So that's how I feel about that.
That makes sense. Any other reasons or speculations as to why mental health did go through a spike?
Because we didn't have the option to be with loved ones while they were sick and dying, passing away. People were dying by themselves. My grandparents were married for 74 years, and she just passed away. And COVID was really hard for my grandparents because they were a couple who traveled often. My grandfather was retired from American Airlines, so he would, travel all the time, at least twice, sometimes 3 times a month. And not being able to see people, especially in the older generations where they're used to being around people.
Or like in communities?
Yeah, like being in communities, like the communities where we send our loved ones to communities to be taken care of because we were unable to take care of them. And now you're not even able to go and see them. And you have to look at them through a mirror. I lost my father during COVID. He didn't die from COVID, but COVID made it very, very difficult for his health because he was in isolation and he was somebody who liked to be around people as well. And it took a toll on everybody, not only like us, but like the healthcare workers, because they couldn't even, as people, we're empathetic, right? So you feel for all these people, and now we're all feeling for ourselves. And we weren't allowed to feel for anybody else because we were stuck like in our own little bubbles. Like we were all worried about our own feelings and our own safety and our own health, that we couldn't even worry about mental health in that moment because we were all trying to live and breathe, literally.
Right.
So it was really hard. And I think that was really hard, especially for the older generations and the very young generations. For us as well, because everybody was used to being outside. But like the little kids who didn't get to like grow up like normal kids. They are literally bubble kids. We used to crack jokes like, oh, that kid's in a bubble. His mom's a germaphobe or whatever. But we were all germaphobes.
Yeah.
During COVID. And like
so we were isolated.
We were isolated. These kids didn't have no socialization. So now these kids they lack basic social skills because they didn't get to grow up like normal kids, like normal people. They were dehumanized really because they were kept in cages. We were kept in cages. We were all treated like animals during COVID at the end of the day. And it took a toll on all of us as a whole, as humanity.
I see the therapists in the front shaking their heads like you guys understand exactly. Can you guys kind of like go in dialogue on what? I see that you guys understand what it is, but can you guys give us a therapeutic explanation of that?
I'll give a therapeutic and a former educator answer also. So I was a school counselor for 12 years in Hillsborough County. The kids did not recover from COVID. They did not. Socially, emotionally, academically, you pick a lead, they didn't recover, okay, to this day. And I think it's a disservice for some of the parents that don't understand it. This is not a generation of kids that can just go do. A lot of things are hard. They are honest about their mental health. They do say, I want a mental health day. They do need to take a break and skip this class and go to the clinic or go to talk to their counselor. They're different. And they're a lot more honest about their feelings than previous generations were. So I respect that, but then we also have to make the space for them to have the resources that they need to.
And another thing I'll add specifically about children and their mental health care and just the way that society views children in general, I think we have a really big problem with not viewing children as actual autonomous human beings. And that is why we dismiss them, we belittle them, we ignore them, we don't take into account that their feelings matter a lot of the times. And I think that COVID kind of turned a light bulb on in all of us and said, hey, like, no, these kids are also being affected. And I mean, you've seen them from the school levels, you've seen them on your couch, and it's very apparent that they are feeling all of the things that we are feeling and experiencing, and that their feelings are just as valid as ours, as well as their experiences. Absolutely. And I think, again, it's very, very important that we continue to recognize that they are, like I said, they're autonomous beings.
I do want to bring something up because what you said about kids, I want to touch on, just because we do have the professional opinion in the building, I want to touch on the adult aspect, because we're all children that are dealing with our parent trauma. How does that affect us as an adults, dealing with that same trauma, not getting hurt by your parents, having that hole in your heart, feeling that they don't understand your feelings or don't take the time to get to know you? How do you move past that?
The one word answer is vulnerability. Answer to that. Be aware of that. Address that. Don't be afraid of it, because at the end of the day, you guys keep running or fighting it, you're going to have that backlash. There is a specialization called inner child healing. That is an actual specialization that is available to the community if you guys look for it, but it really takes a special therapist to kind of dive into that. But there is solutions to that, but it does take work. And it is a little awkward, because you're going to have to kind of relive your childhood. You're going to have to do things that you didn't do as an adult, and that gets uncomfortable. So that vulnerability is extremely important, but that's just my opinion. Do you guys have any input on that?
Are you guys familiar with quantum physics? Are you guys familiar with shadow work? Carl Jung? Right, so the theory is that time isn't an illusion. Obviously, it's a human construct. And you got your childhood self, your teenage self, your present self, even your future self living in your body at the same time. Right? So like an activity as far as shadow work is concerned is doing like inner child meditation, right? Or hypnotherapy. You could do hypnotherapy as well, where you're meditating and you're going back to a moment that was like defined you as a human being, whether you're younger and you got molested, or whether you got abused, or whatever the case. You go back to that childhood, like yourself at that time, whether you're 9 years old, and it's like you can like have a conversation as your adult self to your child self, and like mend, whether you didn't stick up for yourself, or whether whatever the case. But there's different methodologies, and definitely like look into shadow work, look into Carl Jung, look into what he was talking about, inner child healing, and that does help integrate all that.
And that's why we're here too, to create a space for you guys to have all of these resources and for us to put them out on the table, because it's not like a one-size-fits-all type of deal. Like your mental health is going to be like a custom package for you. Everyone's is going to look different. Go ahead, Ashley.
So for inner child healing, there are specific sound sessions that we do for inner child healing. So it's like a meditation for your inner child. And one thing that I can say that everybody can practice, you don't need to go into meditation to do it, but when you get in front of the mirror, acknowledge your inner child. And tell your inner child that you love them, and that they are seen, and that they are heard. And if you do that every day, even if it's for a second while you're in the shower, you don't have to be in the mirror, but just speaking to yourself internally and to your inner child, that will help heal you.
Right, so because Ashley, right, so your inner child is still alive within you now.
Yes.
So like when you're play fighting, when you're creating.
Nostalgia is your inner child.
Exactly.
When you feel nostalgia and you feel like you watch a cartoon or you hear, like for instance, my ringtone is Kim Possible. So like when people hear it, they're like, oh my God, I love that.
Right.
It makes you happy. So like those little things, lean more into those things. If there was something that you wanted to do as a kid and you didn't get to because your parents couldn't take you or couldn't afford it or they didn't agree with it, do it now and see how much better you will feel. Do those things for yourself so that way you can heal your inner child, because that is a thing that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
Right.
It's not like you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm healed. Nobody's ever going to be 100% healed. So it's just a daily thing that you have to be mindful of, and just practice at it. And the more you do it, the more you will feel better and be able to function better.
I'm Jessica.
Hey,
Duarte, okay? And I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of an experience that my husband was going through, I was going through with dealing with my husband. My husband used to play games. He likes to play video games, but he's not overboard. He's not extreme or anything. But I would have a problem with it at times. I was like, you know what? There's other things that you could be doing, right? And I didn't understand why he kept, this was what he wanted to go to. He works hard. He does what he needs to do, okay? He is a man's man. But for some reason, I just couldn't understand. You say you want to read books, go read your books. You say you want to do your yoga, go do your yoga. But he would go to these games. So one day, when I was dealing with my own inner child issues, and I started to go back to the things that I love, which was dance, right? I'm a mom of 4, and I just got lost in motherhood, right? When I started back dancing, I started to understand why he went to his game. It was something that he loved during childhood, and he's not extreme. It's not like a issue that he has. So leave that man alone. Let him heal his inner child with that, and my marriage has blossomed, our relationship has blossomed. Listen, do what you need to do for your inner child.
Facts.
Thank you for that.
I'm not gonna lie, we had someone on our show and we asked them what they do, to help restore and give them more energy and inspiration and whatnot, and he told us video games, and we were like, what? But like you said, it's whatever works for you. It's that modality that will connect you to joy.
It's really good. It's a sign of innocence. So it's a big of no care. So a lot of people when you get old and you become adults, we lose that non-care innocence that we usually have. I got my master's in music theory. I'm really big on sound and physics. I've challenged a lot of us because we of that age. I go back. I've made playlists forever. If you know me, that's my thing. Dope. I love music to death. Go back to when you was listening to your high school playlist. I go back some days, my worst days, I go back to 2013, 2012, and I still got the music from there and every song from there. And you'd be like, either you're going there to be like, dang, this is my song, or you're going to be like, dang, I came from something.
Yeah.
So it's going to bring you back to, I got through this so I can go through it again. Or, I got through this because I was happy when I was listening to this jam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'll challenge everybody to go ahead and do that. That's the thing, little gym. That's my thing every day. So
I like that.
Jam,
It's also
jam.
about learning when you're dealing with your inner child, about learning the difference between being childish and childlike, right? We want to be more childlike. We want to have those characteristics of innocence and whatnot, and playfulness and being open, rather than being childish, which is not the same. For sure.
Yeah, I'll pull out the SoundCloud track list sometimes too, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. 2012 was a time.
Oh,
2012 was a time.
I watch cartoons.
Looney Tunes is another one too. Yes. Tay, did you have one?
Yeah. I'll sit and watch cartoons and eat my cereal. Everybody leave me the fuck alone.
Kick your feet in the back.
Okay. Period.
So the last slide, remember, we were talking about, we did get a little carried away, but we were talking about what prevented us, what brought us to see those high numbers of mental illnesses. And when we say mental illnesses, we mean anything from anxiety to depression to addiction, right? That number got really high during COVID, and I think the common thread was about being isolated, right? And what happens when you're isolated, you're cut off from your community. Really, that's the point of that's really what happened to us during COVID. We were all cut off from each other, and a lack of community really showed us, the effects, right? We saw all the effects of the lack of community. So we want to know from you guys, what does a community look like?
Thank you once again.
For sure.
Tay, once again, at first your initial reaction to this might be to say, a group of like-minded individuals, but I'll say as I get older, I don't think that it's necessarily just the like-minded individual aspect. I think it's a little bit more complex than that. I think it's about finding a group of people who bring out the areas where you have deficiencies per se. Finding those people that you see where you're lacking, and you find those people that are willing to help elevate that out of you or bring that out of you, instead of just trying to be around the same. If you're all the same, it doesn't actually help move you anywhere. You're going to stay the same. You're going to go the same places. Prime example, if you're from the hood and you just stay around people from the hood, you're going to stay in the hood. A lot of the people that you grew up in the hood get money and they move up to a different area and they wind up seeing things different. People think that they've changed, and yes, they have changed, but they've changed because they've gotten around business owners. They've gotten around people that understand how to manage money, people that understand how to manage businesses, which is not something you're going to get if you stay in the same environment. So from my perspective, I believe that community looks like finding people that are excelling or are better than you in areas where you are deficient, and getting those, life vitamins from other people. I can say probably the best example I can give right here. I got my guy right here, Jesse, with me. We just came from a trip where we were 8 deep as far as guys go on that trip, and a lot of people were just shocked to see 8 dudes moving together and having no beef when we went out. We didn't have beef behind the scenes either, but we didn't have any beef. We weren't arguing. Everywhere we went, we were elevating the scene. We were bringing joy and happiness to the environment, whether we just met you today or we met you 2 days ago, because we had people from different walks of life. Amongst that group of 8, you have a doctor, you have 2 engineers, you have a cybersecurity professional, healthcare professional. So you have people from different walks of life and well-versed in different things, different backgrounds, Caribbean, American, mixed, whatever the case might be. And we left that trip better than when we got there, just because we understood that the community that we brought, wherever we went, we were bringing that community and elevating that area, elevating that environment, and elevating one another. Like, people were surprised to see us praying, 8 dudes praying in public.
That's the key. That's the key, is like when you're around a group of people, because you don't want to be stuck in a community where everyone, like you're the best, right? You're the smartest in the room. You don't ever want to be the smartest. You don't always want to be the smartest in a room. You don't always want to be the most resourceful. You want to be surrounded by people who will elevate you, who will add to that. So great
If your
point.
group's not challenging you, you're probably in the wrong group. You shouldn't be the biggest fish in the group.
Period. Definitely.
Any other inputs?
About what community looks like to you.
Trey again. So a lot of my experiences come from sports, like I mentioned earlier. And one big thing that I learned from sports was I never won a championship like my entire playing career until my final year of playing football. And I won a Grey Cup up in Canada, which is like the Super Bowl, but for the CFL. And like one thing that was different from that team and every other team that I played for was like I feel like the coaches gave space for there to be like a championship environment, which like I defined it as a collective group of individuals from different backgrounds, perspectives, and ideologies, all focused on a common goal. Ooh. And I think if you're able to do that, like you will accomplish whatever that common goal is. And what a lot of people overlook is like nowhere in that does it mean that we have to be all kumbaya. Like, do we have to be the bestest of friends? Do we got to eat dinner with each other every night? Like, I just got to know that whatever this thing that we're trying to attain, I know that you're going to do everything you need to do in order to get there. You know that I'm going to do everything that I need to do in order to get there. And as long as we both do that, our own individual part, us as a whole, we're going to be successful. And I think that if you can create a community for that, and it obviously gets a little bit more complex because when you talk about sports, there is only one common goal. We're just trying to win. But when it comes to life, there's so many different facets and there's so many different just aspects of life that come into play every single day that it becomes difficult because maybe your teammate when it comes to finances isn't a great teammate when it comes to your social life. You get what I'm saying? Or your social teammate isn't a great teammate when it comes to your relationship with your wife or with your husband or whatever the case may be. So it becomes kind of a little bit difficult when it comes to balancing between aspects and between the different things that we kind of go through on a day-to-day basis. But I think if you find a way to create that championship environment around yourself where it's just a lot of people who want the same thing out of life and that don't think the same as you. Because I think if you have a whole bunch of people who think the same as you, like you might as well just be by yourself. Because they ain't going to do nothing but say yes to what you would already say yes to. Right. Say no to what you would already say no to. Like you need people that's going to challenge you like he mentioned. You need people that's going to, you say something and they're like, bro, that was dumb. Like you just did something so stupid and you're wrong and you need to go apologize. And then you're going to argue with them and you're going to be mad. And then you're going to talk 5 minutes later and everything's going to be fine because you realize that they're doing it out of love.
Right. Your group of friends and your community really does make a difference, like 100%.
I want to say something on that because there is a lot of healthy male groups. You know what I'm saying? There is a lot of them out there, but we get a bad rep. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't hear about it. We're not talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of guys that do the same thing that you do. You know, but, you know, we get a bad rep for whatever reason we do. But I feel like what we're doing today is to kind of bridge that gap with the disconnect between female and male and find that common ground to where we can all coincide and build collectively together.
So with that being said, what do you guys think prevents us from being a community now?
Usually what prevents us is ourselves. I'm just give you that because a lot of people being themselves and being their own minds about even people that you're around and not just being like okay with going through the motions, okay with being open. Most men not okay with being open because they're too afraid in 2024 that a female gonna hurt them. No, it's okay. Females might hurt you, bro. It's okay. That means you did what you were supposed to do. Accept it, come with it, be more, have faith. That's the biggest part to it.
And even to touch on the technology, like, do y'all remember, like, we're probably all around, you know, the same generation. Y'all remember when people used to actually play outside? And like kids used to play outside, and then you become friends with the people in your neighborhood, and then you become friends with their parents, and then they're babysitting you, and then if you outside and you doing something stupid, the neighbor's gonna be like, like that. I feel like also prevents community because everybody's isolated because of social media and kids playing on tablets and stuff like that. I feel like that has a lot to do with it. Does anybody else have anything to say? Especially like older generations too. Okay, so I'm 31, so I love hearing from like older people because y'all grew up where there was like really no phones and really no computers, and compared to the generation now, like there's a huge psychology that's like completely different. But go ahead.
What's good? I'm Antonio. Nice to meet y'all. I would say one of the biggest preventatives from actually being a part of community is the reality of the situation. A lot of people don't want to go face to face. You feel me? So like, for example, I got my brother and he drills the fuck out of me. Like every time I'm fucking up, he the first one to be on top to be on top of it. And even when you feel me, I get big headed and I think I'm doing this, that, and the other, and I know he's telling me the right shit, it's hard for me to take myself out of where I believe I'm at, as opposed to the reality of the situation. Mm-hmm. So, bruh, I've had time and time again where I've felt just defeated. You feel me? And like, it take one phone call, I call my big bro, and like, he keeps shit copacetic. Like, let me know, like, bruh, you been through way worse, nigga, you straight. You feel me? And it's like, I gotta hear that though. But when I'm up, it's hard to hear that same message. So that's my little put on that. It's just, I feel like with the community shit, it's easy to take advice when you're down. It's very hard to appreciate it when you up.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
A bar. Thank you.
I'm Kirsty.
Hey, Kirsty.
And you were on point when you talked about like the last generation of children who were able to go outside and play and have the neighbors, you know, be able to talk to them and help discipline them in a non-physical way and whatnot. But I think what everyone said was correct. And then also, I think she said it, ego, just self-centric. Back in the days when we had like civil rights leaders, they were not ego-focused. They did not lead with that. They led with, how can we make this world better for others? You don't see that as much then as you do now. So we don't have those same leaders, right? Mm-hmm. People are like, well, what can I get out of it? What's in it for me and mine? And that's it. We don't think about our brethren, as we used to say back in the day, but we don't think about others to that extent. In mass, we don't. So I think that's what's missing.
Kind of go off of, was it Antonio, kind of go off of him, and she touched on it as well. I think a big part is that pride and ego. I think that hurts us a lot, and I think a lot of it stems from, for most of us, you're kind of in survival mode. When you grew up a certain way and nobody taught you different, and you saw certain things that you shouldn't have seen, or you're put around that. And actually, it says what prevents us from being a community today. I actually want to change that, a positive community, because you could be part of the wrong community. That can happen very easily. Like I said, based on your circumstances, your environment, you kind of grow into things that, you know, isn't the best or the most beneficial for you. So that kind of leads me, like I said, you're in survival mode. So everybody around you is battling for those resources. And now you're doing the things that you shouldn't be doing to obtain those resources. Then you go, you know, to certain schools, and you might see somebody that has something that you can't afford, and you don't have. Then that leads, you know, it's just a cycle that just continues. And unfortunately, like I said, at some point, you know, you either learn it as you get older or you don't. And unfortunately, that can lead you into certain things that, you know, we talk in prison, you know, death, things like that. So I think pride and ego has a big factor to play in it. And it's just, you know, what we're doing here is just spreading that awareness, get that therapy, get that help that you need, so that you can elevate and, you know, have somebody that can hold you accountable, and just have somebody that, you know, you can be vulnerable and open up to.
To piggyback off of the nuggets of wisdom he just dropped as well too, I think a lot of what prevents us from being a positive community, like he mentioned, is also the fact of people being afraid to admit what they actually like, because it's not trending. So because it's not trending, because it's not what's popular, people are afraid to admit that that's more so they're into something that's not trending, and actually admitting that might remove them from the community that they're already in, and they may not be accepted in that new one as well too, so then they'll be ostracized. Right. So it's the fear of new, it's the fear of old, it's the fear of change in general, it's the fear of rejection, like she just mentioned. It's the fear of a lot of different things. Of just being different, because different may not align with anyone. So you're afraid to go out there on a limb and take that risk and see where you actually land. Or are you afraid to even just do it alone? A lot of times that's the problem. The people that are marveled are the ones that were not afraid to do it alone and see who will come with afterwards, which therefore comes the leaders that are, you know, the ones that drive change, whether it be like Steve Jobs or just those bigger names that we may know that were the first of their kind in whatever it is that their respective thing is.
Right. And like I grew up, like what she was touching on with the civil rights movement, there was a certain spirit at that time, right? And it's like we were, as a community, really passionate about making change, really passionate about being involved about what was happening in our communities. And like I would say, like even Tupac was very like passionate about that. Like, where do you guys think that spirit in us kind of like died as a community? Because now it's like all this shit is going on. Nobody even really gives a fuck, you know? Yeah.
So I'll kind of touch into that. So I think a lot of it, I mean, it's no secret, but the government, that's really where it started, and they targeted those communities. And then what they did was they took away all our black leaders, and then what did they do from there? They went ahead and put drugs in every, you know, possible community. I mean, there's shows, documentaries, everything about it. There's even CIA, you know, directors and things coming out about it and releasing that. So when they did that, I mean, they strategized, and they said this is a strong movement. We can't let this happen. So we talking from Oakland to LA, all the way to New York, Miami, and that's why even they say it now, Miami's the way it is now because of cocaine and the crack epidemic.
Right.
Not only that, now fast forward, we got the crack epidemic hit the streets, kind of, you know, wiped out a whole bunch of communities. Not only that, then we talking to cities that had a lot of very well jobs, high paying jobs. Then a lot of you know, black and brown people were out of jobs that were well paying. This is when we could live on one income in a household. So then now we got them hooked on crack. So now they're not. Then what did they do? They went ahead, they upped up the welfare, the Section 8, and they started telling women, hey, you don't need no man in the house. We're going to help you and give you that money. So go ahead, kick that man out, raise the child on your own, And then that's what started happening. So there is just it's a domino effect from there on forward.
Right.
So then that's what started happening. So Pac, you know, Afeni Shakur, his mom's, she was heavy in the Black Panther Party. Now, unfortunately, she dabbled in drugs and things like that, but she always carried that spirit with her.
Right.
So that's, you know, what transcended into Pac, and that's why he kept doing what he was doing. But I think that's where we lost it, you know, all of that. And then we didn't have any other big black figures that came out in the community saying, oh, now it's our turn. I mean,
well, and because of hip hop too. Because the purpose of hip hop was supposed to liberate and free the minds of the black community and give them a medium to speak their truth.
Right.
And then the corporations came in and exploited it.
Yeah.
And even now, today, hip hop is one of the most like powerful forces in the world. However, because they got a hold, it's whitewashed.
Not only that, but people don't even know. So a lot of the music execs and all that, they're invested in the jail system.
Yep.
And the prison system. So they they strategize when they do this. So back in the day, they said, look, this is what we're going to do. You continue, NWA, all of y'all keep putting out this music. We're going to continue to invest, and then this is going to hit the streets. They're going to keep committing crimes.
Right.
Because what you pulling up and you doing a drive-by, you're not banging no rock and roll or nothing that. You banging that hip-hop. And you're going to spray up your own block that you grew up on.
Exactly.
So that's just furthering, and it's only getting worse. And I think, you know, they always say, oh, the music is getting worse. It really is. Like, it's as bad as it can get right now.
Literally.
Compared to back then. But, I mean...
It's like serial killer music. It's getting bad, and
I don't only want to blame it on music, because it's not all just music. I think, you know, parents and families have a say in it as well, but
we got to think about it. Like, when parents are at work, culture is kind of like what we're eating.
Yeah.
Music, now, the reason why music was targeted is because how it affects our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
It plants seeds that, you know, and it motivates us, or like even watching movies, that subconscious programming is very, very effective.
Yeah.
It's affecting us every day. What you wake up listening to, what you watch, like it's affecting you.
Like I said, they strategize in every way possible. Even with housing, redlining, it's all of that. They implement all these policies and things like that, and it's like that's why we have to be like 10 times better than them, or 100 times, because we have to maneuver around all these other things that's backed up, you know, hitting us. So
right. And then you know, when you hear like a lot of like, I have like a love and hate relationship with the music artists that are like out right now, and it's like, you know, like Sexy Red and like all these women like, and all these men that are like creating like dope music with dope beats, but the content is like very poisonous and they don't even realize it. Do you think that music artists have a responsibility to kind of care about, do you think they have a responsibility at all?
I give you a lot, but I ain't gonna give you too much. So honestly, a lot of people not listening. So you're not listening to the Kendricks. They just don't want it. It's not grabbing your ear. It's not grabbing the other generation. So the younger generation is not grabbing their ear. Because to be honest, they're the people paying for it right now, respectfully. So when you listening to it, a lot of people not going, we listen to Kendrick now, but we just started. Well, they just started. We've been on Kendrick, so we know what Kendrick about. Kendrick just hitting the Super Bowl. That's like a championship game for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? For some people, they just like water it down, but for me, that's a championship game because he gonna say a lot in that Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. A lot that people not gonna hear, to be honest with y'all. A lot of people gonna listen to him and be like, oh, Kendrick did, but you're not really gonna hear what he's saying. Mm-hmm. You also not gonna hear that he rapping behind a flag. You don't realize why a flag behind him? Because where we at? You know what I mean? He from California, in one of the worst places in the world. But they rather listen to Sexy Red, or they rather listen to the beef between him and Drake. They rather listen to, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. I play it well, and it's the thing to listen to. But at some point, when that music turns off, what do you listen to when you need something else?
Yeah. That's
the key. Yeah. What you listen to because I know what I'm on. You know what I mean? There's certain people I'm on that I'm just a Masego. We like a lot of Zen type of music. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't even know who K Shinada is. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't even know that because it's not in the everyday time span. It takes you having to go see that, go seek that, or find somebody that you can seek that from. And usually those people create the community. You know what I mean? Usually those people create the trends to where you can say, hey, this person put me on this song and it made me feel this way.
Yeah.
Not this person got this and it's talking about nothing, but you know what sexy
And
women say.
and those songs, those mindless songs are eaten up because it's a distraction. It's a lot easier to sing about mindless shit rather than shit that matters, because then you'll have to take maybe a look at yourself or, you know, your morals or whatever the case is, right? What's going on in your own life.
So I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do believe in industry plants.
For sure.
Because some of this stuff that we see and hear is obviously intended to like dull the senses, bring us down, subpar, trifling.
Yeah.
So no bones about it. It sounds good and it's fun in the club and in the car and whatnot, but some stuff is definitely intentional. Those people had no other ability to get it other than through these record executives who were intending to plant these seeds of destruction within certain communities.
And it's a lot easier to do that with the state of the world being on fire, right? Like there are genocides happening today, and there are so many people in this country that we live in that are homeless or can't pay for food for their children or whatever the case is. There are so many things going on, and that's why it's so much easier for us to eat this stuff up, because we're so distracted in the hyper-individualism that you were talking about as well. Yup, and we're definitely desensitized to it. So I think one of the main things that we agreed on is individualism, right, being on the rise, the state of the world being on fire. That also kind of sets us apart from, like, you know, being a community, as well as the disconnect between men and women. So that's something we wanted to dissect just a little bit as well.
Because, oh my God, I know I'm not alone when saying that there's a huge gender disconnect. A huge conflict.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of mistrust.
So yeah, we just wanted to go in a little bit about why there's a disconnect, right? Did you want to?
So traditional ideas about what men and women should do, like men being the primary earners and women being caregivers, create tension. Men often feel they must be tough and not show feelings, while women feel pressured to balance work and family roles. This can lead to misunderstandings and competition instead of teamwork, making it harder for everyone to work together in their communities. So.
Right. And then there are also sex politics and mistrust, right? So issues like sexual harassment, sexual assault created a lot of fear and mistrust between most men and women. Women feel unsafe a lot of the time, and men feel unfairly judged or like defensive about, you know, getting called out or getting falsely accused, right? That too. That's a big fear for a lot of men, which is, it's crazy when you think about the level of false accusations compared to reported crimes. But my point being is this tension makes it difficult for most men and women to work together effectively, right? The mistrust.
What other things do you guys think contribute to the disconnect between men and women today?
Okay, so I came of age in like the 80s and 90s, so we didn't have the same problems that I see here today. But one thing I hear people say, I often hear men say, like, women aren't the same as their grandmothers. Like, their grandmothers stayed and worked it out. But one thing we have to think about is our grandmothers didn't have the same resources and opportunities. Grandpa Earl was hitting the streets and had like 5 families, but grandma didn't have a job that she could survive on her own. So as women's equality and rights and work came into play, so did that independence, which a lot of males look at as a bad thing, and women too, but it's only a bad thing if you weaponize it, right? But our grandmothers needed that financial support from our grandfathers. Women of today don't, and so I think women don't look to men necessarily to be just the providers anymore. They expect more, and that causes a discord because some males, not all, some, are not used to that. They're used to, well, I pay some of the bills or all the bills, so that's all you're going to get from me, and you should be happy that I come home 4 nights a week. Times have changed. Women have evolved, and we expect more, and we talk about bringing to the table, but we bring more to the table. not just home providers and home care or all of that anymore. So I think those roles have changed and evolved, but with that, our emotional intelligence should evolve with it, right? So we talk about that conflict and that discord. We should be able to work those things out and grow with the times. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on that.
So I want to speak on this situation, just because, like she said, you know, our grandmothers, it was different. But I feel like the disconnect in today's age is times are different. Women do have a sense of independence, but they still want those old school principles. You know, so where do we balance it as men? Because me personally, I grew up in a home with my mom and dad, and my dad didn't have his father, so he lacked a lot of the nourishment that was needed to give to his son. So for me, a man like me, like, I want to pick my kids up from school. You know what I'm saying? I want to take them to daycare. I want to be the person that's looking after them, and you can go get your nails done or whatever. So in a sense, like me that wants to be a hyperactive father, then what does that look like to when it comes to paying bills? You know what I'm saying? Because I want to take role in that nourishment now. You know, and at the end of the day, you have the opportunity to work and provide. You know, for me, it's not more so I'm like a 50-50 man, but I do believe that there needs to be a piece of intention when it comes to building our kingdom. You know, I feel like for me, 70-30 is fair. You know, I take care of the mortgage or whatever. You take care of the utilities and stuff like that. But then we have the disconnect with females thinking a man should take care of everything. And in some situations, if you making more than me, and I'm a high value man that has a vision, I'm just not there yet. Why can't it be 50-50? And why do this have to be a conversation that's debatable when on paper it makes sense?
So, very good points. And I think I love the way men, especially black men, have evolved. I think a lot of that is our grandfathers and fathers went through so much, right? We talk about just being black in America and black men specifically having to just survive, but imagine what they went through, right? So when they got home, they were checked out, they were done. So now I see more black men, young black men being more emotionally available and nurturing, which I absolutely love. I think you have to find a partner who's equally yoked, and the key there is a partner. And when I say equally yoked, who can help balance you out, because not all females are against 50-50, right? There are many females who are okay with that, or even if they make more, 70-30, whatever that equation or ratio looks like, that share, that percentage, there are many females who are fine with that, but you're not going to find that everywhere. Some females do want you to pay 100%. That's just not the female for you, and vice versa, right? So I think what we see, in the age of podcasts and social media, we see a lot of generalizing, and I absolutely hate all of that generalizing. All females are not this way. All males are not that way, right? So it's about finding someone who works for you. Everybody's not for everybody, and that's okay. We don't have to be. But there are people out there who match your same energy.
I feel like a big part of that conversation, though, is the I shouldn't be paying for nothing, the 50-50 conversation and stuff like that. And I think on the men's side that, I mean, I don't know, we got men in here, but I feel like the generation that I'm living in, a lot of our men grew up without fathers, and a lot of men take value in being there. And that nourishment in today's generation is not being taken into consideration. You know, because if you're paying all the bills and you have it in your heart to be the nourisher for your children, then what is it left for the woman to do?
Still nourish. There's a male nourishing and there's a female nourishing, right? There's a there are. So the same way that you say a male grew up without his father, that same the sister grew up without a father too, right? So the mother had to be both roles, and we were not always good at that. Both. I think it becomes a disconnect when we think the girl doesn't need the father. Absolutely does, just like the boy does, right? So you see these females who are hyper independent and strong. Well, what else are they supposed to do? Sit in the corner and die, or wait for somebody to do something for them, which never comes or rarely comes, or comes with a lot of strings attached and a lot of sacrifice? That's not right. Sorry. It goes back to, again, finding equal yoke. And I'm older, so the younger generation might be a little bit different. I'll let them speak for themselves, but There comes a time in a woman, especially women when you hit 40, I'm going to tell you, a light switch goes off, right? But the younger women in their 20s and 30s, they're still establishing themselves. They're still finding themselves. Yeah, they may want you or need you to pay 100%, but there'll come a time in their career when they're good, right? They're getting all the money they need. Now they want a partner. They don't care about the money that you have or you paying the bills because they want someone who's mentally on the same level and equivalent as them. So girls need that just like the boys do. I wouldn't discount that part, but it's all about finding your partner if that's what you're looking for.
All right, so to circle it back around, that was amazing. So to circle it back around, I think that one of the disconnects that prevent community is men not being able to control their lust, seeing women as an object, and not wanting to be friends or experience women without having some type of level of ownership over them and their bodies. I noticed that a lot, like a lot of guys that like want to holler at me, I'm like, let's just be friends. And they're like, nah, I don't want to be your friend. I'm like, damn, you don't want to be my friend? So it's like, I'm a human being. Like, so I'm a great friend, but it's like, I don't see the need of having a female friend, like blah, 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 blah. But you're dealing with the opposite sex on a regular basis, so what do you mean you don't see the value? You can learn about women from a woman, like, friend, you know?
I really think people need to get off of the internet, like get off of TikTok, get off of Instagram. Like you're not getting any sort of real, reliable relationship advice. Like this whole 50-50 thing, like that's a Twitter conversation. If you go and you talk to a person in real life, nobody's doing that. Like no one's having those sorts of, like, talk to a real person who is on your level and who is, you know what I'm saying, like looking to connect in a deep and meaningful way. Like just cut all of that social media bullshit and be a real person. And I feel like people just get so caught up in the glitz and the glam of whatever, you know, is on the internet, and they're not being authentic. Like if you want to date somebody and have a real meaningful relationship, you can do that. But again, stop bringing all that Twitter shit to real life. Like and also, yeah, talk to a therapist. Like get some help from someone who's unbiased and who is clinically trained to help you in these situations. Stop talking to your dumbass friends. I'm sorry. Like they're good for some things, but they're not equipped to help you deal with the shit that you really need to work on. Like stop being avoidant and like work on yourself for once.
So I actually feel, being a father, right? I grew up where my dad wasn't in the house, all of blah, blah, blah. Right, but I'm very intentional in every day. I wake him up, I get him to school, I pick him up, and if I can't, his mother does, but my whole day is surrounded around him. But the thing is, in a relationship, I feel a lot of us like overlook the couple goal. What are we doing to grow? How can we get to the next level? Okay, so we're here right now. What does the next month and the month after that looks? All right, so if you got it, great. If I got it, great. There was moments 4 years ago I was almost at an eviction, but she picked me up. But now if she didn't want to work, she don't have to work at all. Right? The conversation is different depending on the situation. But we grew together.
It's intentional, yeah.
We grew together. So the conversation is different when you actually have goals set in place and where you're trying to go. A lot of us are looking at social media and trying to compare ourselves to everybody else, but to keep it 100, a lot of them are single.
Yeah.
They sitting there talking, and it sounds good, but they single and they partying and going home like, dang, I wish. But while you're over here saying, oh, we should be like what they say on social media. No, live your life, set goals, and y'all work as a unit to get to where you're trying to go, and then the conversation is what it is.
Facts, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we appreciate that. I wanna backtrack just a little bit, just so that we can come back to where we came from, right? What we're getting to. So we asked what prevents us from creating a community, and it's like a bunch of things between the state of the world on fire, individualism being on the rise, as well as a disconnect between men and women. So we dissected the disconnect between men and women because we want to show that there's a common thread between all of these problems. The same same reason why there's a disconnect between men and women is the same reason why individualism is so perpetuated today. And it's the same reason why the state of the world is on fire, right? It's because of patriarchy and capitalism, right? We do want to, what's up? And
Which
white
goes
supremacy,
into
yes,
patriarchy.
Exactly, yeah. Oh my God, which is another tool of capitalism, of patriarchy. We wanted to give just a little explanation on it. So for the patriarchy, the definition, the Oxford definition that they have is a form of social organization in which fathers or other males control the family, the clan, the tribe, or a larger social unit. So basically men are in charge, right? This all started back in the day when men wanted to create wars, right? In order to settle on more land. They wanted to colonize more land. So what they had to do was create soldiers. So they bred men to be strong, to fight these wars for them, and they incentivized them with artificial resources, with being the head of the household, with all of these things. And that's why we are here today, why we see the state of the world as it is today.
Yeah, so long story short, patriarchy is a male-dominated society where they dictate the laws that are passed, educational systems, political authority, social privilege, and control over property. It is a fictional system that men created that left out women.
So if you look at like all the seats being taken by like in our Senate, our Congress, all the House of Representatives, they're mostly filled by white men, most of the time.
Right.
The number is like 85% for Republicans, and for Democrats, I think the number is like 60 something maybe. I don't want to butcher it, but.
And they justified it by like, oh, back in the day, hunter and gathering, you know, women were in the household taking care of the kids and men were doing the hunting. Well, based off of anthropologists' data, looking up like old bones in different cultures, no, it was shared, right? It was a group effort because it was about survival. Women were hunting as well. You know, kids were gathering, you know, it was all a community effort. So it wasn't like, oh, men were doing, you know, this and then, you know, so it's like patriarchy was based off of that idealism when that's like not true, you know. So what your mom was touching on earlier, right? So patriarchy as we know it is falling, right? And with it falling, we feel like that's a huge disconnect that people aren't realizing that's playing, you know, behind the scenes. You know, and to touch on religion, right? So what were you saying?
So I just wanted to give like a brief scenario for us to think about. You know, in the Bible, it speaks about all these great men. And then it talks about their wives, but it goes in no detail about their wives. So we just got to think about from the beginning of time that there was a huge neglect on women empowerment. You know what I'm saying? Because we all know every great man has a wife standing behind him. So I just wanted to keep that. I wanted to make that known that since the beginning of time that women didn't get the praise that they deserved. And it's something that should be touched on and thought about.
Yeah, so what were you going to say? No, go ahead. So even in the 1900s alone, like to where we're at right now, right? Women gained the legal right to vote August 18th in 1920, right? That's when women were legally allowed to vote, right? Women were allowed to have bank accounts. Like it was illegal before the 1960s for women to have a bank account.
That wasn't too long ago.
Exactly. And then in 1974, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act prohibited discrimination based on gender, right?
In the workplace, yeah.
So granting women the right to open bank accounts and apply for credit independently of their husbands and male relatives. Like, I can't even imagine. Marital laws. Once married, a woman's legal identity was absorbed by her husband. Head and master laws gave husband control over marital property, household, and decision making. So this is what a lot of our grandmas were experiencing, right? Legally classified women as dependents of their husbands. Like, so which is crazy as well. Before the 1970s, women were constrained by a legal system that favored male authority in almost every aspect. So now with the fall of patriarchy, due to women actually being able to have control over their lives, it's like creating more of a conflict, right?
Yeah. And the reason we bring this up is because it's all connected, right? To what we were talking about before. So even if you want to talk, like bring back the disconnect between men and women. Did you want to?
Well, so far from what we're saying, based on patriarchy, how do you guys feel about that? Like as far as patriarchy being like a driving force behind the disconnect?
And I want men opinion. Like just hearing these stats, do you feel like this was fair? Do you feel like women had a fair opportunity to thrive? Because I feel like a part of the gender wars now is they're feeling their presence. You know what I'm saying? They're getting the equal rights. They're understanding who they are, what they can do. And I think that's really what's distorting our mind, because they have their ego's rising. You know, but at the end of the day, I feel like it should, and we should understand the power that they've always possessed, you know, and knowing that the way our government was set up, it was set up in a way to where they had no benefits. So I just want to hear a male perspective. Do you think things are fair, and can we take accountability? And it wasn't us, but the people before us kind of put us in the situation that we are now, because it didn't start this way, but now we're dealing with the effects of them having equal rights and them feeling as they should. Can I get any male feedback?
I like the first say that I apologize to the men that came before us, but I'm a part of the men that knows that a female is smarter than men. To me, personally, I think female, or I apologize, our queens are way smarter than us, and I am okay with saying it, very comfortable with having it. I appreciate y'all for being here. Y'all are very much, statistics like better SAT scores and all that come with it. Just because the right men that's built was built off a woman, a strong woman, respectfully. And I'm gonna give y'all that. So I don't think it was fair. I don't think, even just hearing it, and I was like, it just passed through my mind, because I'm like, to think now, you'd be like, look where you at now, running the world. You hear me? Running the world, for real. And most of the times that, even when I'm booked by a female, to be honest with y'all. And everywhere I go, 7th and Grove, Left Lease,
yeah, they run
everywhere I'm at, it's not a man saying, hey, yo, I need you to come work. It's usually a female saying, hey, I got you, I need you because I fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? That's just me on the outside coming in. You know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all. Y'all continue being great, intelligent, and going to educate. Because most people, and not most people, but most of our queens are also getting educated the right way. And going through it the full process. Most of those men, we do the entrepreneurship, and though it is an amazing thing to do, we don't get the back half of being financially illiterate. You know what I mean? Having that back that other things that we really need. Men really need that, to be honest with you. So you say, like, when you say, we do need a queen. Most men do need a queen.
Right.
And this is why.
Yeah.
Which why? Because we not really great with the bills all the time. We'd rather miss a bill every once in a while.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some rather say, you know, negligent to certain things, where the right queen in your life, she gonna be on that, regardless of what you got going on.
Right. And they made it to where just because we are able to have kids, that's where our talents lie. Like, no, women are very talented. We're great leaders. Like this whole stereotype of, oh, women can't be in leadership roles because they're too emotional. No, that's a human thing. Everybody's emotional, but women are able to compartmentalize our emotions, et cetera, et cetera. Like even in Rwanda, like in after 1994, once Rwanda started having like 60% of women in their parliament, right? Crime rate started falling. Women started advocating for everyone, so homelessness decreased. Like I said, crime decreased. They made it to where like maternity leave, men and women got to both leave. You know what I'm saying? More social programs, and like now they're like respected as a country within the UN. So it's like the patriarchy is making the world go to shit right now. You know, and the patriarchy is reinforcing capitalism as well. Here, go ahead.
So a little definition on capitalism. It's an economic, a political, and a social system. It's based on property, business, and the industry being privately owned, and it's directed towards making the greatest possible profits for private people and organizations. So the bottom line of everything is always going to be the dollar, right? And when we're in a society where patriarchy and capitalism are upheld, we're the bottom of the list of what, you know, our government and the people in charge, what they're caring about and what they're putting policies for. They're putting policies in place to make themselves more money, to put more white cis men, you know, in places of power and whatnot. And all of these things, again, we bring up patriarchy and capitalism because they're connected to everything. The individualism being on a rise, right? Us thinking like, oh, we got to pick up our bootstraps, pay our bills. I can't care about the world being on fire right now because, you know, my world's on fire. But again, it's like what we said, like getting the load is going to be a lot less heavy when you're in a community of people. When you're alone, the load is a lot heavier. We do want to connect the patriarchy and capitalism to even what we were talking about with the disconnect between men and women, right? So regarding the mistrust, right? The mistrust between, and the power imbalances, right? Patriarchy, what it does is they give men that power, right? They put them in positions where they could take advantage of women. And capitalism also plays a role in like fostering environments where competition takes precedent over your well-being, right? It goes the same for gender roles and power struggles, right? Mm-hmm. So the connection for patriarchy and capitalism to those things is that they support these roles. It reinforces that men should hold power and that they should hold control, and it limits women's opportunities. And capitalism just exacerbates that. It promotes competition, and it like really doesn't want us to collaborate with one another, and it emphasizes individual success, which is why it's harder for us to like be together or work together. It creates just more of a divide between us, and that's something we want to fight actively. I put a little cartoon up there. It says, why have I been so sad lately? And she's like, it's probably because of the moon. And then the moon's like, no, it's capitalism. Because it truly is. It really is.
Yeah. And so, long story short, the disconnect between men and women that's happening right now is not because of each other.
Oh, yeah.
It's because of patriarchy.
We don't want to punish individual men. I feel like when we talk about patriarchy and capitalism and men being at the top, a lot of men nowadays get offended, but it's not anybody's fault, right? But what we do want to do is we want to blow up those structures that put men in positions to systematically treat women like shit. And we all have to do our role in doing that. It's the same thing with capitalism, right? We can't point the blame at one person, maybe like the Rothschilds or something like that. But if we want better for our society, pointing the blame at one person isn't going to do that. We have to decolonize our mind, which is what I mentioned earlier. You know, we have to do things that like they want, reject doing things they want us to do or thinking things they want us to, right? They profit off of us hating ourselves. So reject hating yourself. They profit off of us thinking that not everyone deserves food and water and shelter. They profit off of us thinking that. So you have to ask yourself those questions. Do I think people deserve drinkable water and food and shelter like for free? Do I love myself? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves in order to like dissect the patriarchy and capitalism and to like really get it out of our lives.
Yeah, are men and women equal human beings that should be allowed to have autonomy over their bodies? Or even like the provider thing that you were talking about, like men feeling like, well, damn, it's kind of hard on everybody right now, right? And women's expectation on, no, you're the man. Mm-hmm. This is the system y'all built as men. Well, you got to deal with it. Like, no, like this is clearly not working for anybody.
Mm-hmm. And after acknowledging all of these things, our question is what now?
Right?
What? Community.
Right.
It's stuff like this. It's having like conversations that don't always feel great. You're kind of like, this might be a little uncomfortable because you're getting out of your comfort zone, and that's where the growth happens. We do want to define community, right? It is a foundation that's built on a lot of things. care if you want to change it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just one thing, right? Even though we did go around the room and it looks very different. Go ahead, Greg.
All right, so shared values and purpose. So a community thrives when its members align around common goals, values, and purposes.
Which we talked about, yeah.
Okay, whether it's geographical, spiritual, social, or interest-based, a sense of shared identity creates a strong bond among its members. All right, number 2, personal relationships and connections are the heart of any community. Trust, support, and mutual respect among members foster a sense of belonging, which is essential for long-term cohesion. So relationships and connection via why it's important for men and women to get onto the same page, right? Because we are all we got. Right? 3, communication. Open and inclusive communication allows for sharing of ideas, collaboration, and conflict resolution. Effective communication ensures transparency and trust. Active involvement from members strengthens a community. This could include decision-making, community events, or collaborative projects, all of which build a sense of ownership and responsibility, right? So just participating and engaging. What we're doing right now. Good leadership provides direction and stability. It helps facilitate decision-making, resolve disputes, and ensure that the community's vision is sustained. So leadership and governance. And last but not least, a healthy community is diverse, embracing different perspectives, backgrounds, and talent. And inclusivity helps the community remain vibrant, adaptive, and resilient over time. So diversity and inclusion.
And this is basically all of the things that we described, right? Just putting a little bit more fluff behind it, and a little bit more explanation behind all the things that we said looks like a community. Connection, communication, participation, shared values and purpose. I think that one also has a lot to do with what you guys were talking about, the values and purpose elevating you guys, right? Not just being in a community of people because, you know, you guys grew up together, but because you guys help each other and make each other better. Kara, whenever you're ready.
All right, so with our future events, so talk to them about your inspiration behind your shift, because he's really big on community. Yeah. He's really big.
So my big shifts and everything, like I spoke on earlier, like I just let God lead me. And it got me to a point to where I understood that there's a huge importance on a conscious community. I wanted to start something to where people that understand the importance of being intentional with themselves, with their lives and their mind, was something that we had a platform for where you can come to and build on that, because fellowship is key. You know what I'm saying? Community is key. And I think what we're doing now is just creating a conversation and letting people see faces that, wow, I don't just place value in this. There's a lot of other people that do. So I'm excited about this first event, man. It's a great turnout.
Sure.
And man, I love you guys. I love all you guys, man, because hey, this community, I love you, brother.
We do.
Houston.
I want to tell you about sound therapy and somatic sound therapy is that we have different types of bowls. These are crystal bowls. These are the ones that you activate. We don't hit them because you also want to be very intentional with your verbiage. Being that I'm a trauma-informed sound therapist, it is very important of the words you use when you are in sessions with people. People are suffering from a lot of different things, a lot of different traumas, and you don't want to trigger somebody and bring up even more emotions or have them feel uncomfortable with you. So you always want to be very intentional about how you speak. So you do not strike the bowl, you do not hit the bowls, you activate the bowls. And when you activate the bowls on the body, some bowls can go on the body, these do not. These you just play and they help regulate your nervous system. So it helps you with all different types of things, better sleep, inflammation. It helps with mental health primarily, but it also helps you understand what you're feeling within your body. There's a lot of times when you put the bowls on your body that you will get into a moment of like desperation almost, where you don't understand what it is that you're feeling because it's bringing all of those emotions to the surface and it is dissolving those emotions that you were holding so deep within different parts of your body. That is what this bowl will do. Now, this is a different kind of gong bowl. This one can go on the body or it can be activated around you. Usually you can put them all around you, different sizes, also hold different weights. So today I am just going to do a quick sound bath for you all so we can go home and have the best sleep of your life. If you've never had one, I would love for you guys to connect with me tomorrow and let me know how you woke up and how you felt and if you felt different, or just chat with me and let me know what it brought up for you just in the moment while you were here or what you may think of in the morning. Also, I want you guys to be aware, drink lots of water for the next few days because it does help move things through your body. So you want to disperse that. And that's how you do it, through your lymphatic system. So please drink lots of water afterwards and be very mindful and, go home and relax. And I hope you guys sleep wonderfully. And I am very excited to facilitate this for you guys tonight.
Thank you, Ashley.
All right. I would like everybody to get in a comfortable position. And I would like you all to close your eyes. And I would like you all to set an intention for tonight. And as I play the bowls, I would like for you to hold that intention. I would like you to start connecting to your breath. I want you to take a big deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for about 4 seconds. And let it out through your mouth. Don't be scared to breathe. As you continue to connect to your breath and think of this intention, I want you to let go of any worry, any grief, any sadness, any feelings that you're trying to let go of today. Pay attention to your body as I activate the bowls. As you connect to your breath, wherever you feel sensations, I would like you to inhale and send your breath there. Give yourself gratitude for being here today. Give yourself self-love for having tough conversations. Continue to connect to your breath. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. As you open your eyes, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, kind of stretch. It's quick, usually. Are you falling asleep? It's a lot more comfy when you guys are laying down. Usually they're facilitated laying down. The only time that I have you sitting is if you're a pregnant woman, because it's uncomfortable to lay down when you're pregnant. So I hope that this helps you sleep better tonight. I hope that this isn't your first and only sound bath. I hope that you guys come to see me or another sound practitioner. There is a bunch of great studios in town. Right now, I travel to you and I do them in the comfort of your own home. You can do a somatic sound bath, or we can just do a crystal one. I do group sessions as well. I would love to hear how you guys woke up in the morning. So before you guys leave, please come and get my contact so that I can, feel and see how you guys feel in the morning. I would love to know how you guys feel today as of right now as well. And thanks for coming tonight, guys.
Can you hit the dump? Can you do the... Okay, I just want to hear that sound. That was amazing. How do you guys feel? Y'all was all into it. He fell asleep. He knocked out. Wow, this was beautiful. Thank you guys for coming, participating, taking time out of your day to come hang out with us and have these real conversations. I think it's important. And I think that this is kind of fun too, some intellectual sparring. We had a lot of great opinions. I learned a lot from a lot of people, especially you guys. Thank you guys for coming. Local therapists, hit them up. They have their cards available, correct? Yes. And then we got Sophia. Any of the vendors want to come and say something before we end the night, talking about what you guys do, how to reach you guys? Don't be shy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Linares. I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. I am located in Tampa, Florida, kind of near the Oldsmar, West Chase area. I do everything from preventative medicine to functional to chronic pain, and my personal specialty is sexual health. So anyone having any period pains, any bedroom issues that we don't need to discuss right now, but just feel free. You can come and scan my QR codes over here or find me at www.lenaeastacupuncture.com.
Yes, love it, love it. Alrighty, ladies, you want to shout out both your practices real quick or where you guys are located?
Enzo Behavioral Healthcare, right across the street from International Mall. So we have people come from St. Pete, Riverview, Wesley Chapel, whatever. My specialties are, it's black owned, black and woman owned. Okay. My specialties are relationships, codependency. I work with adolescents. I do some wedding resilience as well for the anti-bridezilla management.
My specialty is minority mental health care, so I mostly service black and brown folks. I do a lot of LGBTQ work, anxiety relief, depression reduction, and I just started an accountability coaching thing, so that's cool. Yeah.
We love that, we love that. And we'd like to hear from our herbalist as well, please.
Hello, I am Duafe. I go by Herbal Bay, so you can find me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, Herbal Bay _. And I'm a holistic herbalist in the area, so I specialize though in holistic hair care. So if you ever want to really learn how to take care of your hair from the inside out, that is my specialty. Although I do also do a wide range of things because I studied naturopathic herbalism, so that covers a wide range of things. So thank you all.
Thank you, love. And then again, Ashley, do you want to let the people know where to find you? Not just here, but you got any socials?
Yes. You guys can find me on Instagram. It's _, like Alice in Wonderland, but with 3 A's at the end. So Alicea If you guys want to come and find me really quick, you guys can add me, but it's A_LICEAAA.
Alrighty, guys. Again, we appreciate everybody. No, for sure. We appreciate everybody coming out. This, again, is the first of many. So be on the lookout for our upcoming events. That yoga class, Yoga on the Beach, coming up soon. What else? We got an event actually coming up in Dopamine. Oh, yeah. October 2nd. It's going to be about the sexes, you know. But again, it's to foster understanding. We're not trying to, you know, I mean, Layla might, but
But we do need to have a talk, because I have some questions about the male psyche. Yeah. Oh yeah, dopamine. But yeah, just be on the look. Follow our podcast, What the Fuck is Nirvana podcast, and you'll see everything that we're going to do. Thank you guys for coming. And thank you, Lepley's.